Welcome to the Greener Gifting Gang podcast, the show that delves into the reasons we love to choose, wrap, and share gifts with each other. Hi, I'm your host, Eve Kale, founder of Gift Wrapped by Eve, and I'm on a mission to help you experience the joy of gift giving while also considering the planet. Each episode, I'll be sharing ideas or interviewing guests who will help inspire your choice of gifts and how you present them. Whether that's for your own gifts or products you create or sell in your small business, we'll help you consider how to make small changes that can help your gifting be a little greener. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Greener Gifting Gang podcast. This is another episode where I have a special guest with me, and very excited to have a chat with Ceri today from Bear Cards, who I met recently through the world of SBS. If you listened to last week's episode, you can hear all about how that came about and all about Small Business Sundays. Ceri, first of all, could you just introduce yourself to us and tell us a little bit about your business as well?
I'm Ceri Seal, and I run a small sustainable greeting card company called Bear Cards. We're different in the fact that our cards don't need a separate envelope, so it's all incorporated into one. It's a self-sealing card. The greeting card industry is a fabulous industry, but it does create quite a lot of waste product. And obviously we don't want to stop people sending greeting cards, but if we can minimize the waste at the end in the form of envelopes and cello wrap, then that's something that I think is really important. So yeah, all our cards are self-sealing, and hopefully we help to reduce some of that waste.
Fantastic. So yeah, when I heard about what you did, I was immediately intrigued, having had a background in the greetings cards industry and being all about being sustainable. So I was just really intrigued to find out more about, something that's really challenging the norm in the industry, because we're prolific card writers, aren't we?
Yeah, the UK
Yeah.
is the biggest nation, well, the biggest in Europe, definitely. I think about 108, 800 million cards we sent as a nation last year, which is brilliant because, especially at the moment when people need to connect and people need to feel, that they've got this love surrounding them. Greeting cards is a brilliant way to send that information to people. So yeah, really, really, really like the fact that the UK send lots of cards, and it doesn't seem to be diminishing as well, which is really good as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting to hear, isn't it? Because you might hear people kind of say, well, I don't send cards anymore, or, the kind of rhetoric is people aren't sending cards anymore. But clearly, from those statistics that you have just shared with us, that really isn't the case.
No, I don't think it is. I mean, the Greeting Card Association reports, that it is sustaining. People were a bit worried about 10 years ago with the digital age and whether that would have an impact. But certainly here in the UK, we're definitely still sending cards. And I think it might not necessarily be the same people sending the cards. So the price of stamps has had a massive impact. I've just heard that Royal Mail are putting their stamps up again in April.
Yeah.
First class stamps get up to 180 and like second class to 92. So that's really expensive. But I think the amount of occasions that we're sending greeting cards for now has changed. So people send greeting cards just because now they want to reach out to people, tell them they're thinking about them. There's lots of different other festivals that we celebrate here in the UK. And so, the amount of cards that you can get is changing. So maybe that's what's keeping it sustainable, because we're creating cards that are for more diverse sort of like areas, and people can send them again, like I say, just because, which is lovely. If you just get a card from somebody that says, I'm thinking about you, and it's not a particular occasion, that's really, really important, I think.
Yeah, it's really powerful, actually, that means of connection. I mean, I don't know if you went to this presentation at SBS, Ceri, but I went to the one from the director of Spring Fair, and she talked about one of the retail trends being the kind of analog revival, which I thought was fascinating and something that I really resonate with. And I think that might be, one of the things that is keeping the greetings card market buoyant, because yes, of course you can just send a message to somebody, a text message to say that you're thinking of them, and you can do it and it's really quick and it's done. But we send so many digital messages now that actually sending a physical card or gift in the post makes so much more of an impact. And we're kind of resisting the fact that you can literally just send a message to, going back to that. And the revival of
Yeah,
sending
definitely.
physical
I,
things.
I, I totally agree. We get so many emails, so many texts. Everything is digital, that when you get something tangible, it just means that little bit more. Yeah, really.
Yeah, fantastic. So, but you're all about doing it differently, about doing it more sustainably. So, can you tell us a bit more about how that came about and how did you come to be doing this?
Yeah, so my husband Darren has been a greeting card salesman for over 15 years now. So we've had greeting cards in our house forever. And as part of his role, sometimes we had cards that were returned that needed to be either recycled, and we were forever separating a card from the cello wrap from the envelope into three separate entities so that we could make sure that they were recycled and they were sustainably looked after. And during lockdown, he just came up with the concept and said, look, we can do this all in one entity. So the cello wrap is a different side of things. People in retail buy cello wrap, one, to keep the card and envelope together primarily, and also to keep the card from getting damaged in store. But if you've got a card and an envelope all in one, you don't need the cello wrap to need the card and the envelope together. And Darren also saw that retailers were really struggling with envelopes. There are so many different sizes of card these days that if envelopes get lost, consumers can't find the right size envelope. And that's frustrating for retailers, it's frustrating for the consumers. And Darren was often being asked to supply additional envelopes to stores to stop that, stop that happening. So he came up with this concept, and it gradually took over family life during lockdown, which I guess in some ways was a good thing. The children got sort of bought into it. My daughter was doing an A-level graphics course at that time, so she started helping with drawing out the concept, and they worked together on logos. And so when Darren got the patent, we were all quite surprised because only 3% of patents get granted. So we were all very proud that he'd got the patent. We were all sick of hearing about it by then, but we were very proud of him when he got the patent. And I think naively we thought that the greeting card industry as a whole would go, wow, that's a brilliant idea. Let's make more greeting cards that way. And they did. We were really fortunate to have interest from two really large card publishers in the UK. And they took it off and had a look. They went off to some of the big card retailers like Card Factory. They went to Sainsbury's and Tesco's. And the feedback they got from those places was that they didn't think the consumer was quite ready for the card and envelope to be in one entity, and that maybe we needed to prove that it was a sellable commodity before they would license it. So that was a huge blow for us a year and a half ago, but we were determined that no, it does work. The feedback we'd had from everybody, the feedbacks I'd had from the craft fairs and the Pride festivals I'd done, were that people were blown away by it. And the amount of times people said, why aren't all cards made like this? So that sort of fueled us to keep going. And then last year I gave up my full-time job to do it full-time. So
Wow.
it's become my life too now.
Fantastic. Well, I can see why you kind of all got into it, because it sounds like such an exciting project and something that I can see why it expanded and expanded, because there's lots to do in terms of shifting how people think about greetings cards, isn't it? I mean, if we're sending 800 million cards, there's quite a lot of change there, isn't there? There's quite a lot of change.
And we've been sending cards with envelopes since the year dot. I think the Egyptians first sent cards in envelopes. So it's something that people don't think of as an alternative, or they think, okay, is it a postcard? No, it's still a card. It still folds like a card. It's just that it folds onto itself. So
yeah. Wow, how exciting. It must have been quite a change. Yeah, working on this full time from working in a school. Is that when you were working
it
before?
it was a huge change for me, and but it was the right time working in a school. My role was pastoral, manager, so self-esteem and helping children manage their emotions, and the job was becoming more and more difficult with less and less money, and I knew what children needed. and I couldn't give it to them because there was no time or money. So that was impacting on my mental health as well. So we just came to the conclusion that actually I did need to move on. I've done my 20 years in school, and I was proud of the children I've helped, but it was time to move on. And I'm loving running my own business, absolutely loving it. So
yeah, the world of the small business is yeah, it's amazingly supportive. Even though, you know, running your own business is, there are lots of challenges that you might not realize from the outside, I think, but the small business world is very supportive, isn't it? I mean, and that's how we've met each other.
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, there's definitely ups and downs. I mean, I sit
yeah,
here some days thinking, what am I doing and why am I doing it?
yeah,
And I'm not successful. And I think naturally you have those feelings of self-doubt. But on the whole, I think you just pull yourself up. You think, no, I'm doing it for this reason. And like I say, networking has been fantastic because I am a people person and I do enjoy connecting with other businesses. And that's again how it grows. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, so we met through the fact that you were a winner of Small Business Sunday prior to me, and you in fact were one of the people that encouraged me to have a go. So thank you very much for that. But yeah, you've had lots of kudos like Small Business Sunday, haven't you, as you've gone along? So has that encouraged you to keep going?
I think I don't want to describe myself as a pushy person, but I do like, I'm not as scared of going out there and putting my face out there. And I think, although social media to me is like, having worked in a school for 20 years where social media was a big no-no for teachers, like, you know, told not to go on social media. That's been my biggest learning curve and the thing that I found most uncomfortable. But I do like meeting people. I do like networking. So I have been on the radio a couple of times, and I'm loving the fact that this is my first podcast, and like, and you know, so I am, you know, that sort of thing I really enjoy. And otherwise it would be too lonely, I think, doing, you know, just running your business just in the office. And also my step count would be rubbish.
Two very good reasons to get out to and talk with other people and learn from other people. Yeah, definitely. So on the podcast we talk about people's businesses, but also people's own gifting as well. So I mean, I'm guessing that you send lots of cards, being in a greetings card household for quite some time, but do you also give lots of gifts? Yeah, are you a gift giving household?
We are a gift-giving household, all the usual occasions. Although my husband and I don't do Valentine's and anniversary, but we've just been together for so long. We don't. But we're a huge Christmas family. I absolutely love Christmas. Like, we have 6 Christmas trees in our house, and we have and I've built them up over the years. And like, I'm very particular about the color theme on my Christmas trees, as if anyone knows me will know. I like to have my different themes, but we're also sustainable in our house, thinking about Christmas. So I am one of the people that'll sit down the day after Boxing Day and everything goes into black bags, and then that gets sorted out meticulously in between Christmas and New Year into what can be recycled. I also love gift wrapping, using the bows and the ties and the bells and the whistles. But what I then do is I think this is my 6th year using the same ribbon, like, and so I all goes in, I take the sellotape off, and it takes me a while, but I don't have to buy them every year. So the materials I'm using aren't necessarily sustainable materials, but I just recycle them over and over and over and over. And my daughter's introduced me actually to the paper twine that you can use as well. And the main Christmas tree in the front room has a gold theme. So the brown paper goes really well with the gold wrapping paper. So so I've started moving towards that as well now.
Fantastic. And do you feel like you've used the same materials for about 6 years, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you think sort of sparked you to start doing that?
Just the waste. I mean, I've been brought up not to sort of like to, you know, not cause so much waste. And also what I've noticed as well in my ripe old age is that there is more and more and more waste now. So you can see the fact that we, especially in our house, like the waste bin, the amount that goes into the waste bin is reducing, but the recycling bin is always full. And actually
Yeah.
that worries me as well, because that all costs to be recycled. So it's brilliant that it's not going into landfill, but I think part of what we need to think about now is, can we continue to reuse as opposed to recycle? It's a question I get a lot asked about bare cards, and like, because our cards have an extra third leaf that folds over to make the posting page or the envelope cover. And so we're not necessarily saving on the paper up front, but everyone's been working towards sustainability, using FSC board, making sure that trees are planted every time. So we're sort of sorted with that side of things, as like, not it's not perfect, but that's where everyone's been concentrating their efforts on, is how do we make the product sustainable up front. What we need to shift now to more, I think, is, okay, how do we make it sustainable at the other end? How do we reduce the waste that's coming from all of our products? Not just, and it's not just about it not going into landfill, it's also about stopping it going to recycling, because we don't know how much of it actually gets recycled if it goes in the recycle bin, if it's contaminated. We don't know, and also how much it costs to recycle. So yeah, I think that's where we need to shift some of our sustainability thoughts to, is the end product now and what we're doing to reduce waste.
Yeah, but you know what, that's a really good point. And I don't know if you've seen this campaign, but I'm doing this week the big plastic count. And my goodness me, it's only Wednesday at the time of recording. And I mean, I know from, putting the recycling out, just how much is in our recycling bin. But the campaign is really about, for a week, you count up what plastic you throw away, whether it's in the recycling or in your normal bin. And then they take the data from everybody who submits it, and they're going to be using the data to lobby to get manufacturers to be changing the packaging at source. I mean, because the recycling side of things is not straightforward at all. And we're not, like you say, we're not sure exactly how much gets recycled, and recycling isn't necessarily the answer. So yeah, we've talked on the podcast before about repurposing a lot. I'm a big fan of repurposing wherever possible, in business and in your own life, whether you're wrapping for your own gifts, with things that you've repurposing from the previous Christmas, or when it comes to packaging for your own business. For example, I send out I have a small online shop, and when I do send out orders, I send them out in previously used packaging, because why use something completely new when you can reuse something? So I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, we do the same with
Definitely.
that as well.
Yeah.
Another change I'm going to look to make this year, on the back of coming to your webinar this week, is like, I'm going to change to reusable crackers as well, because we've always used crackers, and that's something I can't repurpose. So the fact that you can get such really good like reusable crackers these days is fantastic. So I just need to find a gold one to go with my gold.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's nice, isn't it? You can still find things along your theme. You can still have those traditions, but you can just look at the alternatives. And yeah, the crackers, fabric crackers are a great thing. I've started using them a couple of years ago, so they're going to be on their third year this year. And I actually really enjoyed the process of deciding what's going to go in the crackers, and it's become kind of part of my ritual of Christmas now. So I think that's a great thing to do. And also, I think it's nice to build these things up slowly, isn't it? Rather than saying one year, right, we're going to be green now, we're going to do all of these different things. To start where you are.
Because it can be expensive as well. If you do it all in one go, then it is a bigger expense. But if you then if you spread it out over a number of years, and there will be a time when I will need to stop using the foil bows and wrap that I use, because it will end up getting damaged. But until it does, then I will carry on using that. It's amazing what scissors do to straighten it out again.
You can repurpose in different ways, can't you? Or cut things down and that kind of thing as well. So Christmas is obviously a big thing for you. And do you enjoy the process of choosing the gifts for Christmas before you come to the wrapping part?
I'm one of those people that starts my Christmas shopping very early, like as in September time, and I'm also a stickler for a list. So I keep my lists from every year and then I reuse them on my phone, and just it shows me what I got last year and what I can use again. I do love choosing like presents. My children are 24 and 22 now, and their stockings are as big as they were when they were 7 and 8, which is like, but yeah, so at some point I will need to scale those down.
Yeah,
But so we do enjoy, like, yeah, we do spend a lot on Christmas for the children and wider family. So yeah, I do enjoy choosing them, and I make sure I go out to shop as well and not just shop online, which is nice. And actually, I think starting my small business has made a difference with me looking at buying from other small businesses as well and shopping
yeah.
local, and that's made a big difference this year with my Christmas shopping from when I was working in a busy school, didn't have time so much, so I tend to go to big online retailers, which I didn't do so much this year. So that's been a positive change.
Yeah, I think yeah, when you're networking with other small businesses, you realize just how many amazing things there are out there if you look for them, but also if you're a small business doesn't necessarily have to be hidden. And I think there are lots of hidden gems, aren't there? That
Definitely. Yeah.
actually, when you discover them, I love to share what I've what gems I found, because otherwise, people will default to the bigger retailers because
Yeah.
it feels easier. But actually, a small business, you can get amazing service and amazing products from small businesses. So it's always nice to
Yeah, I've
support
met
them.
lots of people along the journey in the last 6 months where I've been like, yep, you can be like a Christmas present for this person, and you can be a Christmas
Yeah.
present for that person. So yeah, that's been a real positive.
Brilliant. I wouldn't say that September was that early, actually. Having talked to people on the podcast, there, some people who, are shopping all year round, and yeah, not me. I'm a November
Goes on the
shopper.
list. It goes on the list. And I think that stems from working in a school as well, because December was such a busy month with schools with nativities and
Yeah.
and Christmas like parties and things, that I never had time to shop in December. So
Mm.
I always used to start sort of before the October half terms.
Yeah. So when it comes to actually doing the wrapping, do you enjoy it? It sounds like you do.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do the wrapping for my mother-in-law now. She finds it difficult to do the wrapping. I do love it. I mean, people do say, "Oh, Kerry's wrapped this. I can't get into it again." But I also wrap on the ironing board now. I used to used to sit on the floor and wrap, but now I just sit on in front of the television with the ironing board up, and as long as the present's small enough to fit on the ironing board, then yeah, I wrap on there.
That is one of my favorite tips, to use the ironing board. It's a great one so that you
Yeah.
can save your back. Because yeah, sitting on the floor to do a lot of wrapping is not good at all. We had a whole episode about that just before Christmas.
I'll have to go back and listen to it.
Yeah, about how not to hurt your back when you're doing your wrapping. It was amazing. It was amazing. Lots of things that I hadn't even considered about potentially injuring yourself where you've stored your presents as well, where you've hidden them.
Oh yes.
So yeah, that's definitely one to go and have a listen to. Yeah, definitely. So you enjoy doing it, but do you have any kind of rituals or traditions, particularly around Christmas? Do you put your carols on, or do you have a film or something
I'm
like that you're
also a
watching?
stickler for a Channel 5 Christmas movie.
Yeah,
All the cheesy Channel 5 Christmas movies, which again start in late October now. So
yeah,
I'm often like, it's one of the things with our cards. We're still quite a small business at the moment. So the cards have a self-seal element to them, which has a sticking strip that you peel off, and I actually apply that sticking strip by hand at the moment. So when we get large orders, I'll get my ironing board out again and sit in front of the television, and which feels really naughty, having used to being in a school. If I'm sat in front of the television just stickering up cards, it doesn't feel like work. It feels like I'm
yeah,
watching the telly in the day.
yeah.
But at Christmas I put a Christmas movie on, and my husband will go in the other room and watch something else. And yeah, I do enjoy wrapping to a cheesy Christmas movie.
Yeah, it's always good to get those old ones out again, isn't it? And now, because of streaming, you can just literally watch whatever. It's brilliant. I went through a few myself this year, definitely. Brilliant. And when it comes to receiving gifts, are there any memories of particular gifts that you've been given that have stood out over the years?
I've got lots of gifts that I keep, lots of gifts from my children that obviously I keep as keepsakes. But I think the ones that stand out for me As part of my previous role, I did a lot of work in child protection and worked with children who went into foster care. The gifts that I've received from those children are most precious to me. You know, they're children that have been through trauma and I've helped them to a better life. I still see them today. I still go visit. I still connect with them if they're over 18 on social media. And I think that the gifts I have from them, I keep. They're on my mantelpiece and like they're in the front room and they mean a lot to me because those children I didn't have a lot and now they're thriving. So I think that's really important.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really good reminder that it's not about always what you receive. It's the fact that somebody thought of you and they thought that, yeah, to choose something for you.
Yeah, my thank you gifts. And and then I remember one little boy, I've always been Ceri Seal, but he couldn't get a seal. And so he got me a dolphin. But the fact that he'd gone out and looked for a seal for Mrs. Seal, and and then that was even more precious because, he'd got something that was close that he could possibly find to be able to do it. So that still sits in the front room.
Yeah, oh, that's lovely. That's a really lovely story. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that with us. And how about gifts that you've chosen for other people? Is there anything that sort of stands out?
That's really difficult. I never thought of. I can't think of anything offhand. I mean, obviously, because we do send lots and lots and lots of gifts. When my mum passed away, I found lots of her gifts that she'd kept from me, and like I could have back again, and that was
Yeah,
really nice. And I've regifted some of those onto my daughter as well, which has been nice. So I think that knowing that people hold on to your gifts and like and then you get them back again, that was really nice to see that she'd kept a lot of them.
yeah, that's a really lovely memory. I mean, I've got similar things that have happened in our family where things have come full circle, but you can see how much something maybe quite small that you'd given had been kept and treasured. So yeah, that's really
And I think
lovely.
repurposing gifts is important as well. Just with, I mean, our latest range of cards, they're designed to be repurposed. So they're not designed to go in the recycling, they're designed to be like put in a frame and like put on your
Okay.
wall. So that's thinking about as well repurposing cards at the end of like having used
Yeah.
them, rather than them going to waste as well. Although lots of people keep cards in their knicker drawer or another drawer.
Yeah. Yeah, so tell me a bit more about that actually. So this is a subset. So this is a particular range within the style of cards that
So
you've
again,
created.
thinking about the waste from the greeting card industry, it's not just the single-use paper waste, like the seller wrap and the envelope are single-use paper waste. They're just used to get that card to the person. But the card itself, I think the GCA reports that the Greeting Card Association reports that about 50% of people that receive cards actually keep those cards that they get from their closest loved ones, their children or their like closest family
Yeah.
members, but they keep them in a box or they keep them in a drawer, and they don't want to throw them away because it means a lot. So we started thinking about, okay, well, should they necessarily be in a drawer? So because our cards are trifold, so they're almost like a panoramic view, we've worked with artists to create cards that can then go into frames. So they either have 3 images on them, a triptych card, so you've got 3 separate images that
Yeah.
can go into a 3 aperture frame, or they go in, or we've got like cards that span the whole, so they're almost like a panoramic art card, and then they can go into a rectangular frame as well. So it's difficult to buy art for other people because art is quite subjective, but some of our children's cards, the unicorn ones and the wolves ones, are, like if you've got someone that knows who likes that particular genre, that you can buy them the art. And also if you know somebody, you know which art they like and what they've got hanging in their house anyway. So
Yeah, I love
that's
that
another way
idea.
that we're trying to reduce the waste at the end, is to repurpose the card once you finish with it.
Yeah, I love that idea. So I mean, it's probably something that people might do on the odd occasion, but this is really purposeful and guiding people to keep the card in that way. I love that. That's great. Another way that they're being greener.
Yeah, and I think there's a big market for that in the children's card industry because children have their favorites, that change, normally licensable, like
Yeah.
images, but people like you could put them on children's bedroom walls. and use them and change them as they change their likes and dislikes. I think my son went through about 10 football teams as he was growing up. So, that's lots of cards that you could like use and repurpose as art, rather than them going straight away into recycling.
Yeah, yeah. Do you do any scrapbooking with greetings cards? Because that's something that some people do with them, isn't it?
I don't, but again, I found when my mum passed away, I found a whole scrapbook of cards that she'd kept from my birth and my christening and like my, so I think that's another way that people can reuse their cards and keep them as keepsakes by doing it. My daughter did a lot of scrapbooking when she was doing her A-level art and graphics. So yeah, we've got lots of resources in the house, or we did have when she was here, to do that. But no, it's not something. And at the moment, it's just time. It's one of those things that I'd love to be able to do, but just having the time to be able to do it.
So I think your solution, where it's an easy way to display the whole card, is a really good one for people who are time poor but want to appreciate the design. Scrapbooking is one of those things I've never got round to as well. And I'm a keeper in a shoebox.
I have a cousin in the States, and she's huge, and she makes beautiful like scrapbooks, absolutely beautiful. And I would love to be able to, but it's just finding the time to be able to do it.
Yeah, definitely. It's putting the time aside to be intentional about these things, isn't it? And then even with gift wrapping, I have to be intentional if I want to try some new things out, because there are so many other things to do in running a business that the actual wrapping part often it comes quite low down the list sometimes. So yeah, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us about your business, about how you're being greener and how you're helping to people to connect whilst also considering the planet, which is what this podcast is all about. It's absolutely fantastic. And thank you for sharing about your own gifting as well. So before we go, can you please tell everybody where they can come and find out more about Bear Cards and what you're doing?
Yeah, definitely. So we have our own website, which is www.bear-cards.co.uk, and bear is BARE. So as in we're naked from an envelope, bear.
Yeah.
And I'm on almost social media platforms. I am trying to grow my Instagram at the moment. So we're bear_cards on Instagram. So that's the platform that I'm currently working on.
Fantastic. Well, we'll pop all the links for your various socials in the show notes so people can come and find you and find out more about what you're doing. I know it's going to be something that people are going to listen to with interest and want to find out more about. So thank you so much for sharing with us, and I'm really excited that we're your first podcast. I'm sure it's going to be the first of many.
Thank you, Eve. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Greener Gifting Gang podcast. For free resources, head to giftwrapbyeve.com/freebies and follow Eve on socials at giftwrapbyeve on Instagram and Facebook.